Honorable Mayor, First Lady of Norfolk, Congressman, other elected members. I am so humbled to be standing before you. Thank you for this encouragement and this honor. First, I want to express our thanks to all our men and women serving in the armed forces of the United States. And veterans of the armed forces of the United States and the law enforcement members and their families that protect us on everyday basis. We are grateful to you all and your families. Thank you. I'm so humbled. This is my 109th appearance standing before patriots. Patriots that are concerned about the values of this country. Thomas Jefferson long ago had said, Mr. Mayor, that the greatest danger to American freedoms, the greatest danger to American freedoms is by the government that ignores Constitution. You draw the conclusion where we stand today and how important each and every one of these patriots sitting here are in defense of the Constitution and in defense of our values. Let me share shortly why we went to the convention and why we have continued to speak. It has some relevance to our time. When in 2015, in December, then candidate Trump had made the worst bigoted statement, I will ban all Muslims, all Hispanics will be thrown out, women deserve no equal dignity and respect, judges are partial. We begin to receive our friends with small children to our home. They know that I have practiced law. They would come and ask, even small children, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years old, children will come home with their parents and they will ask, Mr. Khan, is this true? Will we be thrown out of here? But we are born here. We don't know any other place. Can I finish my elementary school? Can I finish my middle school? And I would hearten them. I would hug them and I'll tell them, no, this is just a political rhetoric. Don't worry, this cannot happen in the United States. And then later on, I will ask their parents, are children heartened? Are they okay? They would say, no, they are not. They have taken these threats to heart. When they go to school, they are bullied and they are harassed by similar statements. Oh, you will be thrown out of here. You don't need to do your homework. You don't need to study so hard. Anyway, some begin to tell us that these children don't want to go to school anymore. And they pretend that they are ill, they are sick. And parents would ask, you've never been sick. Why you don't want to go to school? I said, when we go to school, our fellow students that were friends with us begin to use similar language, and we don't want to go to school. This was happening on one side. On the other hand, we were approached by the Democratic National Convention Committee that they wish to pay tribute to Captain Humayun Khan, and you have seen, most of you have seen that tribute that Hillary Clinton had narrated. And they asked us to come and speak if we wish to, because they have invited other Gold Star families, and they're speaking. Your number will be on Thursday, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. We didn't want to be in limelight to lose our privacy. Our children, other children, and our well-wishers told us, do not involve yourself in this. political event. Your reputation, your peace, your modesty, everything will be questioned and be subject to, rightly so, subject to criticism and all. So we sat for 2 days thinking, should we go or shouldn't we go? Wondered, why should we get involved in this? But we were privy to what was taking place in the lives of some of our friends. Our own niece coming back after a visit, a citizen, born citizen, she wears a headscarf. She calls us, she says. She had called us before then, says that, should I remove my headscarf when I come to the United States? I am so concerned that what I will face at the airport. So we told her, no, don't worry, you come as you are and do not remove your headscarf. So 2 days have passed, I go to check my mail, and there is a small card. Sometimes these simple messages have such an impact on person's decisions. There was a small card in our mailbox, no stamp, somebody must have come to place it in the mailbox, and it had 4 signatures. Later on we found out when we read at the back that this was from a class of 5th graders of one of the elementary school. And this is what the card said. Mr. and Mrs. Khan, can you make sure that Sophia is not thrown out of this country? We love her, she's our friend. Please make sure she's not thrown out of this country. I brought the card to Azala and I showed it. I said, look, here is the message for us to make the decision. We are going to speak. So we called, and the rest is history. I sat down to write my grievances, 1 page, 2 pages, 10 pages, 12 pages. Poor Azala will sit across the table and I'll read it to her, I'll say, and she will be my timekeeper. She always has been. We've been married 42 years, and she has been source of strength and editor in my life, or better. She would look at her clock, it'll be 12 minutes, 15 minutes. She said, you have 2 minutes. She said, Mr. Khan, you must speak faster. So I will speed up and all, but so we began to narrow it down, and these were 260 words that were accepted by the convention, and we spoke, but it was in care of others. It is that had continued us remaining, travel, speak, continue to remain standing in care of others, in care of the values of my country. I am in the presence of most learned people. Let me share something very, very profound to my thinking. The world is divided in 2 sections. This is a simple-minded observation. On one side, we have authoritarian regimes dictating to people what rights you have, what you can do, what you can think, what you can speak, where you can go, where you cannot go. On the other hand, we have nations where we decide who is going to govern us, what rules will be implemented. We do our own, we choose our own destiny. It is that simple. We are blessed to be in the community where we have the right to decide, determine our own destiny. You go to the other side, and I have been fortunate to be here, but I have been on the other side. I have lived through 2 martial laws. When I was a high school kid, and one second time when I was in law school. I could not step outside my home without the fear of being shot or being arrested, just because the military had dictated that you cannot step out as a citizen. So I appreciate having these rights and these dignities. The amendment to the Constitution, I don't call them amendments or Bill of Rights. These are human dignities. You ask any person of this mankind in any part of the world, more especially where authoritarian regimes rule, you ask them, they all want each and every one of these dignities that are enshrined in our Constitution. We are so blessed to have them. I always ask my friend, don't read the Constitution or the amendments, read the Declaration of Independence first. So you can then realize what it was, what those 53 patriots did to have the Constitution and the protections and the guarantees that we have in amendments. It will be so clear to you that those 53 patriots were signing their death warrants. They were signing their death warrants at that time. For us to have these privileges so we can speak, so we can assemble, so we can protest, so we can stand up against the government that does not care for the constitutional values. I want us to be reminded that last century, the first half of last century, please think about this. The first half of last century had seen two world wars. World War I, World War II. The entire mankind suffered. The entire mankind had gone through atrocities. Look what happened in the second half, and then you decide where you want to be or which side you want to be. The second half, after having those two world wars and suffering through those 50 years of two world wars and afterwards, mankind decided that we will join hands. We will create United Nations. We will create European Union. We will create NATO. So those atrocities are never committed against mankind ever again. And look, the second half of the last century, the longest prosperity this mankind has ever seen. There had been small skirmishes here and there and all that, but nothing like First World War or Second World War. Europe had seen the longest prosperity period ever. The rest of the mankind has lived in peace because of these organizations. And look what happened. This is what concerns me, and this is why, this is the reason that I continue to speak, and I urge you to begin to look from this humble person's angle. There were 3 scripted statements that were made at First World War, Second World War. Nationalism, economic well-being, fear of immigration. Read the speeches of the leaders of that time and you will come out with this conclusion that these were the 3 topics they exploited ordinary citizens of that kind. Nationalism, we are Germans, we are so-and-so, we are French, we are Indians, we are Muslims, we are so-and-so. These were the slogans. Second was economic well-being. Third was fear of immigration. Immigrants are dangerous for our culture, for our nation, for our society. Same concepts, same scripts. Same script is being repeated all over again, not only in the United States, but throughout the Europe. Please keep this in mind that Soviet Union, which is Russia now, has not forgotten its disintegration. has not forgotten. They hold that grudge even today against European Union, against United States. Look at their assault on our election. Look at yesterday, as late as yesterday, their assault on French election. They do not want to see European Union remaining intact because that is the biggest threat they have at their doorsteps. These times are very alarming times for us, but I assure you, to each and every patriot sitting in this room, I assure you, from Portland, Oregon, to Minnesota, to Nebraska, to Ohio, to Virginia, to Texas, most of us feel exactly the way we feel today in this room. Most of us, that we will defend our values, we will defend our Constitution, we will defend the blessings that are bestowed upon through these dignities in the Constitution, and we will remain standing against any bad intended hands that are extended to disturb our way of life, our system of government, our way of believing in equal dignity, equal protection of law. Democracy is nothing but tyranny of majority. There is only one thing that stops it from being tyranny of majority, and that is rule of law. Rule of law prevents democracy's tyranny from taking away the rights of minority. We all are so fortunate that our time has placed us. I wonder sometime that this is not what we had wished, what we had wanted for our life, especially in this humble person's life. But our time has placed us in this moment. Our time has given us an opportunity to stand up for the values that we have cherished and we have enjoyed throughout our life. Sometime when we are born under certain privileges and dignities, we begin to lose the real value of those dignities and those privileges. This time, a difficult time, is reminding us that this is the time to stand up and defend. Dig deeper. The whole politics is very local. I urge each and every one of you to contribute more generously. Find an excuse to contribute. Support your local leaders. Support your national leaders. Strengthen them. Call their office. I was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. There were 2 tables full of wonderful veterans. They raised their hand after I spoke and they said, Mr. Khan, we are veterans of this country, both of these tables. We have a question to ask. I humbly stood in front of them, got closer to them, and they asked me this, Mr. Khan, we were promised about that our health care will be guaranteed to us. We are worried. We have served this country. We have been promised that we will be looked after. We are worried about our health care. Another lady extends her arm and shows me her dialysis tubes is still in her arm, saying, Mr. Khan, how would I cover my insurance? I used to eat less so I could pay the premium up until Affordable Care Act came into being. I am able to afford my health care because of my condition. I am being told that that will be taken away from me. Can you guarantee? I said, I am an ordinary, humble person. Call your senator. Call your congressman. Ask them to have a town hall. Go and speak. This is the least you can do for yourself. And look, the mockery of our basic right to have medical care that Affordable Care Act granted us, that we could afford some basic health insurance, was made fun of 2 days ago. so that they can have an opportunity to take a picture. I am, every community that I go to, I am asked this question again and again, how far this will go on, how much longer we will put up with this, what are we to do? My humble suggestion is that remain standing, remain faithful to the values of our Constitution, of our civil liberties and the liberties that are granted in the Constitution. And remain speaking. Don't lose hope and faith. This is only momentary. Keep an eye on the Russian connection. Lots of answer to this violation of our constitutional rights, violation of American values lies in that focus. When you continue to focus, you will see our wonderful leader, Congressman, sits among us. Congress is pursuing that course of action so that our values are not violated. There is amazing, as I mentioned, there is a grudge in the hearts of the leaders, military and political leaders of former Soviet Union that has become nothing but a small dictatorship equal to almost to Italy, meaning their size and economy. They have not forgotten. They will continue to attack time after time after time our democratic values. It is an obligation of all of us that have lived, that continue to live under these dignities, under these protection, under these values, that we remain standing, we remain speaking, we remain in defense, we strengthen the hands of our leaders. Sometimes it is, and it's all, the politics is all very local. So I urge that in this spirit that I have observed throughout the country, throughout the nation, all communities are feeling concerned, wanting to do something. All these protests that are taking place here and there have a sentiment, have a reason behind it, and that is we are concerned about our values, about our liberties that we have cherished, and this is the way we are going to defend by remain standing. I am so grateful that we have interfaith community among us. Wherever there had been people of other faiths sitting with one another, with Muslims, with our Jewish brothers and sisters, it reminds me, at home we have our dining table full of letters and cards, and there are boxes of letters that we have stored. One letter stands out, 26 pages, written by a retired army nurse. And she goes on, she served in Second World War in Europe. She recites her experiences, her observations and all. And she asks at the end, she says, Mr. and Mrs. Khan, please remain speaking. Please remain standing, continue to speak. Even if there is just one voice, remain standing and speaking. What had happened in the Second World War, because not enough people spoke. All the atrocities against our Jewish brothers and sisters that were committed could have been avoided if more people would have spoken. Please remain standing and remain speaking. My promise to that nurse is that I will continue to speak, regardless of all the battles that we face in our personal life here and there. That's nothing. I am reminded every time I open a small pocketbook, the Constitution, I look at those 53 patriots. I am very much aware of what happened to them, how they were treated, how their families were treated. But look at the result. We sit here as a free nation, nation with these dignities that rest of the world aspires to have. America remains a beacon of hope for the rest of the mankind. What a privilege to be part of America. What a privilege to have these values that inspires the rest of the world. I conclude with one comment so that we are hopeful, so that we are strengthened, so that we know that we will remain standing for these values. Look, there is no other country where mothers send their children unaccompanied, small children. That is the hope that the rest of the mankind has from America, from us, from our values, from our system. Of course, we are a country of laws, rules and regulations which must be implemented. We are responsible, each and every one of us, regardless of our faith and our origin of nationality, that we are responsible for the peace and security of this country. But this country has bestowed these dignities upon us. We owe to ourselves to remain vigilant for these values. There are maligning hands and intentions and harming ideas that are being designed to impact, to hack our systems, to damage our system. As long as we remain fully aware of those conspiracies, those unfortunate, but they are determined to continue to interfere, to damage the democratic system, to damage the unity of democracies in Europe, and we will, once we have seen the damage of it, how they can interfere, how they can damage, how they can cause harm to our values and our system of government, but no more. It will not happen again in the United States, and it will not happen outside France. They have tried to do that. I am hopeful that French are wise enough to reject that intervention that took place a couple of nights ago, a couple of days ago. So I humbly request that the only hope that this system, our country, our values have is each and every one of us. Each and every one of us turns into the defender of these values in various ways. Somewhere it is by contribution, somewhere it is by political participation, somewhere it is by protest, somewhere. Those are our rights and privileges that this system, our democracy, grants and has bestowed upon us. I am again so humbled for inviting me, for making this possible, for allowing me to share my haphazard thoughts and ideas, but it is all from a grateful citizen of this country. Thank you very much.